I don't know if I can hear you.
Richard,
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. How's it going?
you're going to an Orange Theory class, eh?
Yeah, have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've never done it.
I've done a couple before now. I did like three so far in the past few months, and it's nice. Like, it's like a way of outsourcing like motivation. Like, because especially in the winter when there's not a lot of sunlight, you just sign up for one of these classes, and then there's like music and other people, and they tell you what to do. And also, what's sort of nice is like I've belonged to a lot of gyms before where like they have like free group classes, but then I never do the group class because I always just go work out on my own. But it's
Mm.
kind of like a trick, like with Orange, like the only thing to do at Orange Theory, like you stand in the tiny lobby or you go do a group class. There's no other alternative. So it's sort of like the only thing you can do is group workout, and then I do them, and then it's just like a nice pipeline of like occasionally I just want to get like a workout without any self motivation. Uh, so that's been like handy to have that.
That's the way to do it. I enjoy bodybuilding and getting back into that. And I do that as like a
Mm.
form of meditation. Though I don't do it to be social. There's people there who are like
Mm.
chatty Cathy's shooting up like conversations and chatting all the time. And I just put my noise canceling mode on and I just give her. Because for me, it's like an hour of solitude. Because anything more than an hour is too much for the body, too much cortisol. But I like it, and I also like how I feel after. Like I could be in a terrible mood, and I mean, like just trying to get to the gym is half the battle. But like if I finish a workout, I generally feel better. But I find too, it's like it's important to be organized and like have your gym bag ready to go the night prior because obstacles will get in the way. And if you get too many barriers or obstacles, it gets in the way of you like forming a habit. And that's something I got from Atomic Habits is that you have to make whatever it is you're trying to do like accessible and conspicuous and easy. And so you want to remove as many obstacles as you can um, when you're trying to do something. And so like already going to the gym is unnatural because you have
Yeah.
to like it's not something that models nature. You have to pack your shit, go into a car or drive or take a bike, get to the gym, change, go work out, shower, change, come back. Unnatural. Like it's completely artificial, right?
The part I hate the most is taking on and off my shoes when I need to take my pants off to like change the shorts or something. That's
Yeah.
literally like that's like the point of friction that's the worst is like if I could take off pants and put on shorts with leaving my shoes tied on my feet, that would eliminate like 90% of the friction of getting into workout attire.
And there's a way to do it.
Yeah, there's
But
pants that can do it at least, but not the pants I own right now. And no, I don't know what I should do about that. I need like pants that look like work pants that also can like be taken off without taking off shoes.
oh wait, yeah, pants are kind of an issue. So like summertime is a non-issue because you're rocking shorts. Wintertime is kind of yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. But I find that wearing Crocs has simplified things.
Oh yeah.
So like summertime, even fall, winter, as long as like it's the snow is kind of gone. Because Toronto is interesting in that like there are periods where the snow's gone and it's just you know it's just cold. So those days I can wear Crocs with two pairs of socks.
Hmm.
Go to the
Yeah, and like
gym and
basically you work out in Crocs.
yeah. Now I
Does anyone give you a problem with like because you have to have like well, I guess even running shoes are not closed-toed shoes. Like there'd be no added protection if you drop stuff on your toe between Crocs and running shoe.
if you drop a
So yeah, I
45
guess yeah,
pound plate on your toe, you're breaking your toe, regardless of what.
yeah.
Like the only way you're not is if you're wearing a steel toe.
Yeah.
So how I see it is there's no argument that's good enough for me not to wear Crocs. And if
Yeah,
anything,
unless
I'm less clumsy in
treadmill.
Crocs.
If you want to go treadmill, what can you run in Crocs? Or do you?
Yeah, I trail run in
Oh, really?
them. I did an
Oh,
80
cool.
kilometer backpacking trip in them. Just Crocs.
Yeah, walking seems manageable, but
I
impressive that
told
you could do it. And running
sprints.
would be tough.
I do fucking sprints
Yeah.
in Crocs, dude, on grass.
You could be like the spokesperson for Crocs.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, I have that on my
they
list
could
of things.
study you.
I was gonna message them and say, hey, like I wear them 3 seasons. Well, actually, 3.5 seasons. I would wear them in the snow. I just need waterproof socks,
Hmm.
which exist. Or I could wear Gore-Tex socks because there's waterproof, and then there's same thing, I guess. Gore-Tex is
Yeah.
waterproof too.
Crocs, maybe Crocs should make socks that have some kind of like croc-like behavior
Croc
over top
socks?
of. Yeah, Croc socks that are like breathable, waterproof, like just like Crocs are, but they would be like function
That's
as
their.
socks.
I'm gonna pitch it to them.
Croc socks.
Seriously, yeah. Because like I wore my merino wool socks, and these things are like I don't get hot spots. These are like 100% merino wool. So there's like a merino wool blend I've worn before that was like cotton. I was like, why would you put cotton with wool? You fucking dummies. Those destroyed my feet. But the pure merino wool socks are godsend. So like I tried a pair, actually 2 pairs, my sock system with the Crocs the first day when I started to do the backpacking, but it was raining and my feet were wet. So it was actually causing issues. So I just took them off and then I just did the rest of the hike barefoot in the Croc. I went up and down mountain ranges, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, no one can tell me I can't wear Crocs because I can argue their policy and be like, I'm actually safer in Crocs than I am in running shoes. So
How
that's
do
where I'm at.
Crocs? Do you have your Crocs must like wear out at some point? What do you? How do you know? Like they just get really thin or something?
Yeah, they're at that point. I feel everything. Like there's almost a hole through them in the
That's kind of
padding.
interesting. Like the like new Crocs have good padding, but like over time, I guess the problem is if they break down like unevenly, that's probably bad. But if they get thin, like if they got thin and remained like equally supportive, but thin, that's actually kind of cool because it would like wearing it's like thin toe, like 5 toes shoes or something that are super thin and don't really have support.
See, I get the whole idea of those minimalist footwear, but the problem is they don't work on asphalt, concrete, hard surfaces. I agree we should be walking on the earth, but like the reality is when you're in a city, everything mostly is a hard surface. You have to be very deliberate to like and weird to most people to like walk on the grass, which I do when I wear Crocs or I'll kick them off. I'll go barefoot and I'll just like walk on the grass beside the walkway.
Hmm.
And in Ottawa, people usually don't like bat an eye at it because I guess there's a lot of hippies down there. But yeah, there's really nowhere to do it in Toronto. No, I guess around along Lakeshore, but anyway,
You trust that like there won't be
I won't do that.
like
Yeah,
sharp stuff in the
so
glass.
Toronto has a lot of glass and stuff. So even like Lakeshore, that reminds me. Yeah, so I was walking along the beach and I heard stories about like there being needles, and I just put my Crocs back on and I was like, "Fuck it."
Did you ever
So
get like poked like a sharp rock going through the Crocs? Have you ever had that or something like
I've
that?
stepped on quite a few sharp rocks, but it's just uncomfortable for a split second.
Hmm.
Also, like I have quite the calluses on my feet because like I
Hmm.
done a lot of barefoot walking when I was in Mexico on the beaches. Like most of my my time was on the beaches, so my feet were pretty tough. I did get a stick that was at the perfect angle when I was going down Silver Peak, Killarney, and it stabbed my toe, like went into my toe. And so I had to do some first aid, and I was worried about getting infected and stuff. But it's just because there's like holes in the front of the Crocs. So what I would propose to them for backpacking, like basically just they could basically just remodel their basic version and just say like and just fill in the front 3 holes and then say that these are like designated backpacking Crocs. And they'll be perfect because like you can smash your toes into branches and it won't go through. So I will propose that to them, and I also will propose Croc socks.
And there's have you seen like whatever they call them, gibbets, like these little things you can push into the holes in a Croc that like they are like pins almost, and they're for style.
I had 5.
Yeah. But are those the holes you're talking about? Like, could you fill the holes with those things, gibbets?
Those are for the top of the Croc. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
they're
You
for
mean
the
like
front.
where, like the big hole where, like how Crocs have nothing on your toes?
Yeah, so like in the
Yeah.
front where you can like the I don't know, the tip of your toes. There's like holes there. So those holes need to be filled.
Yeah, the style of Crocs I have are just like a single band over the middle top of my foot, and then like the sole. I don't have like a back strap or anything over the toes.
That's sport mode, man. That's like essential if you're doing backpacking.
The
Gotta
stick,
have
yeah.
you got sport mode. Yeah, I first started hiking with them 2 years ago with my brother, and I think I was wearing these socks. So whoever says merino wool socks don't last, I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're doing, what you're using them for. But I was just like, because I've my Blundstones are like 10 years old too. Like my footwear I keep and I take care of it and I resole. Like I just resoled my Blundstones with some cowhide from Mexico. My buddy did it for me. He stayed behind, and then the guy like it's old school, man. Like you can't get it done in Canada like this. I'm pretty sure. This is a better boot now because like it was so worn that my ankles were kind of like caving in, like it was collapsing because of how I wear my boots, like wear them down. But anyway, the the Crocs, yeah, the Crocs I have are ancient too. Jeez, I'm surprised they're not like cracking. But anyway, I was actually concerned that they wouldn't provide enough support, that I would like hurt myself. But anyway, I wore my socks with my Crocs, and I just all of a sudden said it's time for sport mode, and I put on the back. And my brother laughed. I'm like, well, I guess it's funny, so I'm gonna keep using it. And I never been so light. So the thing is, like, they're ultra light, and regardless of the surface you're walking on, it feels like you're walking on the earth because it's like it's a super cushion that then molds to your feet. Yes, they're ugly as sin, but they're not actually. They're not even ugly to me. People say they're ugly, and I'm like, they're not. They look good.
Yeah, they do. They do look very like normal, like just the way they're styled, the shape of them. There's nothing that stands out as like not proportioned. Like they just have like the true uh like sort of shape and everything that lets you like just sort of feel like they're a naturally occurring thing somehow.
Mm-hmm. And here's the best part, as a minimalist, it's like I wear it most of the time, except when my girlfriend says you can't wear that to the restaurant. You can't wear dress shoes, and then I wear dress shoes and whatever,
Dress
and they kill
Crocs.
they kill my feet, and then switch back. But it's like I don't have to, as a runner, and if you're running on asphalt, and you know your perfect shoe, and you got fucking 20 versions of them, like 20 of the exact same model because you know they're perfect for your feet, and you can run your marathons in them, then that's the exception. But like for me, I don't have to like have different pairs of shoes for this and that. I used to have a pair of shoes for the gym, pair of shoes for running, pair of shoes for comfort, casual wear, two pairs of shoes for casual wear because you know you gotta be stylish and kind of match. Obviously, my dress shoes, and it was like that's a lot of shoes. Oh, and I had trail running shoes, which was completely separate as well. It's like holy fuck. But now the Crocs just do nearly all of it, and they're not that expensive, especially if you know somebody who works at SoftMac. You get the employee discount, you know.
Hmm.
So anyway, you should try running in them. Oh, also they're
Yeah.
amphibious. So you can use them for canoe trips.
Yeah,
I
that would be
have
nice. Where
I
your
have
feet are getting.
struggled. Yeah, I have struggled with going between like different like sandals that had like something on the top that would dig into the top of my foot when I'm like in the canoe because I sit in the canoe properly on my knees, kind of like with my legs spread, sitting on the chair. You know, good stretch for the quadriceps. A lot of people like if they sit with their knees up, there's the center of body, the center of mass is too high, and it makes the canoe tipsy. So you have to sit a certain way. But the top of your feet then are pressed against the canoe. And trust me, that can be very fucking uncomfortable. Like very, very uncomfortable. But with the Crocs, not an
Mm.
issue. Crocs feel comfortable. They get wet, doesn't fucking matter. You hop out of the canoe, you're in the water, your feet get wet. That's refreshing. That's good. It actually feels nice. And then you drag the canoe out of the water and then you're fucking portaging. And they provide enough stability where you're not like shuffling sideways. The weakness of the Crocs, the only weakness is mud inside the Crocs when you're trying to go up elevation. That's when it becomes a shit show because it becomes a bit slidey.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's what I experienced the last day on my big backpacking trip because like there was a tail end of a hurricane that passed by and it was raining all bloody day and my feet were muddy.
huh. Yeah, I was gonna say you should ask for like a free pair of Crocs in exchange for like making a video of you like hiking long distance in them. Or maybe there's even like I would kind of think like maybe there's another YouTuber out there that like hikes similar trails in BC and is a croc like is also wearing Crocs and then like do a collaboration video. Get sponsored by Crocs. I don't know if Crocs like wants that marketing or not. Do they want to be like an all-purpose shoe, or do they
I
want
mean,
to
as
be
a
like a relaxing shoe,
footwear
like
company,
relaxing?
like they want to maximize they want all the marketing they can get and they want their shoes. They don't care what the shoes are used for as long as people are using them and buying them, right? So
Yeah,
if
it's like
I
I'm thinking of like that guy that made like deep fried Coke, and then Coke didn't like that because it was an unhealthy image.
oh,
But I guess I don't see the downside of like more uses for Crocs because people would just not use them for that if they didn't want to.
I'll have to ask them and say, hey, like, is there any like permissions required to like show off what I do, like the fact I take big backpacking trips in my Crocs, and like
Yeah,
you know, I can
if it's positive review, I wouldn't think they would have an issue.
yeah. Well, you know, it doesn't hurt. I can pose the question. I don't really want to be on social media, but there are certain things I want to share, like the benefits of barefoot walking. And the easier it is, the less barriers you have to doing something, as I said in the beginning, the more likely you're going to do it. Like, and for me, we're like everybody walks in shoes. Since you're like fucking able to walk, you're put in something. Most kids are, and so it's like we're all sort of like conditioned to wear footwear. And so I noticed even 35, 36, not barefooting for a while. Okay, barefooting. I don't know if that's a term, but or barefoot walking. I'm going to call it barefooting. That's it. There's times where I have reluctance / anxiety to do it, and then I mean, I'm concerned. Well, maybe it'll be uncomfortable or wet or cold. Like there's all these obstacles my brain starts to put up, and if I'm wearing socks and Bluntstones and I have multiple steps I have to do, I might just not barefoot. And what's great about the Crocs is if I'm already rocking them and I'm already barefoot inside them, all I have to do is kick them off. They got the nice straps in the back that I can hold on to, and they weigh nothing, and then I can just barefoot. And there's a place called Hogback Falls in Ottawa where I park in the parking lot. It's like the only free parking in a city. It's like,
I didn't know.
Toronto.
Yeah, I've been to there. I never knew that. I don't have any reason to park, but I didn't know it was free parking there. So
Yeah,
that's
and then just like
interesting.
across the street, it's paid parking. It's ridiculous. But I park, kick off the Crocs, and then I walk up this massive hill that's all grass, beautiful. Sometimes the grass is very long and wet, and then I just keep going and I head towards Carleton campus. Like I cross, it's a long walk. I pass through a whole other type of park trail system, and then cross this bridge, and then I'm near Carleton campus in Old Ottawa. And there's this whole other. Anyway, I could do 2 hours of barefoot walking. And this is the most interesting part about it is I did 2 hours round trip and I was energized at the end. When normally like I got all my injuries from my service and I walk a little bit and I'm fucking dead after like 30 minutes. Like I hurt. My toes hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurts, shoulders hurt, neck hurts, everything hurts because everything like I'm hitting the ground and there's impact every step I take. When I did the barefoot walking, I had energy at the end to spare. I was like, I want to keep going. It was the first time I've ever felt that, at least that I can remember.
Yeah, it must be like activating all the muscles and like warming them up.
Well, also too, no impact. I'm
Oh
walking
yeah.
on the earth. Every step is like walking on a cushion, right? Obviously, when they get to the gravel part, I put the Crocs back on, which is very easy to do, and then I kick them back off, and Bob's your uncle. I keep walking. But every step, there's no impact. There's no shock going up my legs to my spine to my head, and um, because the way I'm stepping, I'm engaging my toes. My toes are digging. I'm engaging my arches. All that movement is natural. It's how we evolve to walk. The toes are really for stabilizing. I know that, but they still get used. Like I still train my arches when I do it. So, and then I looked into grounding and how by grounding, and there's studies that show this, like using MRIs and just with not just that, but also like watching wound healing over a period of time. So like a diabetic old woman had an 8-week old wound that was open still because they have terrible recovery. So don't be a diabetic. It's a shaves off so many years of your life. You go these diseases and you just can't recover because you're fucked. And even still, even though she was still a diabetic, they did some grounding therapy on her, and that wound healed within a couple of weeks. And so, what the theory is that the free electrons that are bouncing around the planet's surface when you ground with the planet, those electrons bind to the free radicals in your system. When they go unchecked, free radicals can lead to increased inflammation because every time an O negative hits something, it's starving for an electron. And so it pulls an electron from some cell in your body, and then it fucks up that cell, and then it's happy. And then it's no longer a free radical. But free radicals can over time lead to cancer, which is why we have systems in our body to counter free radicals, especially in the brain, because free radicals get up there, we're fucked because it's all brain tissue, which are super susceptible to free radicals. Point is, by grounding, you're reducing the amount of free radicals in your system. And there's also studies that are demonstrating, like using MRIs, just an overall reduction in inflammation in a person's body. The red in the illustration that was shown has gone down. I don't know. I'm not a medical guy. I don't know if MRIs actually use color or what, but I think they might have
I'd
just
want to
did it.
see like a study I'd be interested in is like people doing like, I guess by like you're saying like by grounded you mean like people like the therapy is like walking on the ground for the purpose of like the exchange of electrons.
Or a grounding pad. So you can have a pad that's put on your ass and it's anchored to the ground. I don't know.
Yeah, so then I guess then what I want to see is like I want two groups where one group has like the grounding pads or is like walking on grounded earth, and then another group where like you could build like a warehouse with like fake dirt that's like not explicitly like not grounded. Like you could actually like charge the dirt or something so that it's like importantly not grounded, and then like fake like grounding pads that are not connected. And then I would wonder about the difference, like because both groups would be getting like hopefully the same like all the other things, like the relaxation, the attention to themselves, like the calming nature of whatever like these processes are like delivering would be the same. But then the only difference, yeah, like if it could be every other variable is eliminated and the only difference is like the grounded versus not grounded, and then you measure if like there's a, then you really know if it's just that thing is having how much effect that one thing is having.
Yeah. Well, you mean just like with a lot of studies, they have like the placebo group, right?
Yeah, that's what I most always go to is like anytime there's like a thing where like it sounds like fairly complicated and there's other variables to consider, then I want to sort of hear from like the studies that they considered all the variables, they eliminated them all, and they focus on just this one effect of this one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every good study is going to consider a placebo.
Yeah, sometimes I've seen studies like they they're like they'll say something like grounding works like so good that even if the pad is not grounded, it still works. And they're sort of like they're just claiming that like the placebo effect is like caused or amplified by uh like the grounding idea, and then if it's grounded for real it's even better. But then they're not comparing like the placebo effect being a separate thing. Like what's the difference between the placebo effect and the grounding?
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't know how much grounding studies have been done or something, but
placebo
yeah.
effect is interesting. Don't you think the fact that we can like create change in our body?
Yeah, just that I guess so much like stress, like stressed causes hormone. Like if we're not stressed, we're relaxed. That does like so much. Like if we feel like we're taking a pill that's supposed to make us relaxed, then we just feel relaxed, and that has a lot of healing properties in itself, just the body not like fighting with itself.
Yeah, but just like the power of believing that something is going to do something, and then you actually manifesting that effect with just your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think about that. I mean, that's incredible. There's also something called the nocebo effect, which isn't actually studied because of ethical reasons. But it's sort of like the opposite, where it's like if you tell somebody their shit and they start to believe it, then their performance goes down, their intelligence goes down, their memory goes down.
Yeah.
It's actually a thing. Also,
Yeah, like
there's
people
the
like learned helplessness or something.
yeah. There's also something called the golem effect, which is if you completely ignore. Well, actually, racism is an example. What happened to the black population? It's an example of the golem effect. It's basically like we treat them like shit, then they start to think that they're worthless, and so they don't perform as well. They don't contribute as much. In general, I'm not saying all of them. And then because they don't perform as much or as well, then society expectations of them lower. And then so because of the lowered expectations and the way we interact with them, it continues to compound the effect. And that's what's happened. And that's why a lot of blacks, their average income is much lower. And
That same
crime,
effect might be happening with everyone in America right now, like the entire workforce of America being like kind of told like they're too lazy, or they're not, if they want more money they could work harder, and so everyone's sort of just accepting like a worse deal. And like also like Americans have this idea that like education in America is not very good, and so then we don't have very high expectations for like schools, and so then a lot of them are bad, or we don't like, our students don't try because they're like, what's the point? Because uh and then yeah, like this effect that like the whole American population is just kind of getting like treated like they get lower pay, they become poor, and they don't, if they're told like there's no path to the middle class, to the upper class, then they believe there isn't one, they don't try for it. But
interesting.
then yeah, at the same time it's like, yeah, it's like it, like I would like to see workers like all like sort of striking at the same time, or like bonding together, like lifting each other up, like fighting for better pay as a group. But there's like this moment right now where it feels like a lot of people think that's like not possible. Like they're like, this is like, we have it pretty good relative to other countries that we look at, and they don't want to like mobilize and strike and push back because it's like they don't want to lose what they have. But it's increasingly, I think it's like better to just try for something better and push back against like the I guess the super wealthy people in America that are sort of like hoping that everyone just kind of gives up and accepts like a worse deal so they can have more power. But we gotta start handing out placebos.
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure you see the forest for the trees and what's going on. I know I do. I know that we're all kind of born into some form of slavery, and we can't really see the slave owners. They're invisible,
Hmm.
and they're ultimately pulling the strings, influencing policy and lobbying for what it is they want. Trudeau had to step down, but when he stepped down, that whole capital gains tax on the 1%, anything above $250,000 gets taxed at a higher rate because Parliament or whatever. There's a word for it because they stepped down. Everything's like coming to a halt. All these initiatives, and same thing
Oh
with
yeah.
your the Canadian 200. There's a $250 sort of like, I don't know, tax rebate or something that was going to be given. Also, that's squashed.
Huh.
So the rich don't get taxed, and the poor middle class don't get the handouts. And I was like, hmm. Now I know he fucked up by firing what's her lips, but maybe there's something else going on here when he tried to tax, because the capital gains tax increase, I would have been impacted when I sold my investment property. And that sucks because I'm fucking middle class. Like I'm poor. But then there's people who are making insane amounts of money from their dividends, selling stocks, like 10 100 million in the bank, and they're making crazy dividends, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the ones that ultimately have the power, and they don't want to pay additional tax. They want to have more buying power. They want their luxury vehicles, and they want their money to go further, which who doesn't want their money to go further? But I thought that was very interesting, learning that those two things came to a halt when Justin had to step down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad that there isn't like an incredible amount of transparency there. Like obviously like every working person would just want transparency. Like we're not part of the discussion or the backroom deals or like who's paying what money in sponsorship. But like if we just need to be able to like see all that stuff so that we can just like right now it's too like hidden and it just seems like maybe it's a coincidence. But yeah, but obviously like the people that are making it happen are hiding some amount of information. They're at least not like explaining themselves when they like don't do things or they don't have certain discussions. And yeah, I just feel like that's something where it's like all like it's like sort of a thing where it's like every voter should just be wanting like more information from like the people making these moves regardless of who we're voting for, just as like a basic thing is like everyone just agrees like if something is hidden we assume the worst and that person gets like politically punished or something.
Mm.
But it's so crazy though because like even those two things like it could be more than 250 handout, it could be like a heavier tax or something. Like there's it's like even those two things themselves were probably not like far enough, but they get like proposed and shot down when maybe even if we had gotten those, we are deserving of more kind of thing, or like we should demand more. But they don't. It's like who decides what the amounts are, and like if it was more, we would care more that it goes away, and it's just weird how like someone's like picking like what things are discussed and presented and proposed, and there's a lot of stuff they could pick from that they just sort of like don't really pick things that are very different than what we have currently.
Mm.
It's weird when like for example when they decided to like enshrine like the 5-day work week in law, they should have put like a little extra piece that's like if technology improves a certain amount, then it will move to like four, like the discussion for 4 days must be had. Like as soon as we show that like the economy has increased by 20% like efficiency or whatever we want to set it at, then we should strongly consider cutting a day from the work week. Like whenever they voted on the 5 day, like, cause it's obviously like they're voting on five, like they chose the number five because that's what they determined was like the efficiency that the economy could like sustain. But then obviously like they knew technology was going to advance, but they're sort of making a law like 5 days forever when like they should be saying like five or less. And the or less part is like based on some measurement, like something they could say about like how efficient or how much GDP, like if we achieve a certain level as a country, then the reward is like the workers get like, because if we just decided like how many days today, like if there was no 5 day thing, we might pick four today. But like the fact that 5 days is there makes it harder to like get four because they're like, well, we already decided on five. And you have to be like, well, that was like 100 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, well, it was better than the Industrial
Yeah.
Revolution and what happened with that shit. So it's like
Yeah.
people were just full-time slaves.
And
So they
kids and
had to,
stuff too.
Yeah, they had to shut that shit down.
Well,
And
I
I
gotta head
guess,
out.
yeah, man. Have a nice class.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye.